Well, hello, good evening, everyone. It is Tuesday, terrific Tuesday, and I'm so excited to be back with another episode of Kingdom Atlanta Live. Y'all, I was looking recently and I was counting on my episodes. And Corey, I think you might be my 20th episode. So I'll be talking about that a little bit when I bring her on. But everyone, just want to say that if you haven't been following me and following the mission of what Kingdom Atlanta has been doing and saying, please go back, look at some of the old shows, check out what we're trying to do, check out the guests that I'm exposing you to, because it's all for a reason. It's not just willy-nilly. We're not just talking about really random things. These are things that are very pertinent for the times that we're in. These are things that are very pertinent that will possibly help prepare you and your family. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce and bring on my guest for tonight, my dear friend of 30 years, Miss Coriya Burns. Let's see, let me bring her on.
Hey, Shirley. Look, I can't even stop. I'm like, hey, Shirley.
Miss Shirley. Hey, Coriya.
Oh, goodness. I cannot believe it is my turn in the seat. Thank you.
Yes, it is your turn in the seat solo, because I think that I know you were on years ago when one of my first shows when we talked about radio. And well, welcome back to the show. And I'm just so excited that you are here tonight. Want to talk about something that I know is near and dear to your heart. But before I do that, let me just let everybody know that Coriya and I worked together at Hot 97.5 back in the day. I just recently watched her and the station crew announce Birthday Bash 30.
Wow.
And I'm like, wow. And last summer, we actually had our reunion, which was thebomb.com. And she helped put all of it together. And it was just so amazing. So congratulations, Coriya, on Birthday Bash 30th coming up. I know we were Birthday Bash, right? With no numbers when we started.
No numbers. Yeah.
We named it. So congratulations on that and such a long and illustrious career in radio. Now the GSM, right? General Sales Manager.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Coriya is also the pioneer of the FaithBoard movement. And we'll talk a little bit about that before we wrap the show. I was most interested, though, in bringing Coriya on to talk about her welcome to the Motherland and her Ghana adventures.
Now, adventures they are. Yes.
Before I start, let me just say to my audience, I've never been to Africa. It is a dream, a desire, and something that I hope to make happen sooner rather than later. So I'm just as much interested as probably other people listening, Coriya, who may not have been or who may not have had a chance to visit Ghana. And let me just start off with what piqued your interest in Ghana? What was your first trip like? And then we'll go from there.
Okay. What piqued my interest was embarrassment. I mean, I'm going to be honest. I think it was 2021, early 2021. I was actually asked to participate on a panel in Ghana for a campaign called Beyond the Return. So in 2019, Ghana invited all of us back to Ghana for a campaign, what they thought was going to be a one-year campaign called the Year of Return. And they invited us all back to commemorate, I don't really want to call it a celebration, but to commemorate 400 years since the last slave landed in the United States, right? So it was the Year of Return. You know, they thought, a few people would come back. We're just going to try this and we're just going to let them know, hey, we want y'all to come home, right? Almost 1 million of us showed up in Ghana that year. That was in 2019. Well, then, like I said, 2021, I was asked to participate on a panel for Beyond the Return, which became a 10-year extension of that. And on this panel, I was talking about how I've traveled and I've been to all these different countries and you know, and this, that, and other. The young lady who was moderating the panel, she said, "Oh my goodness, that's awesome. You've been in radio all these years. You're traveled. How many countries in Africa have you been to?" Baby, when I tell you mud on my face,
Ooh.
I mean, I was like, oh my gosh. And I remember I had talked to Clancy and we had said, now look, we've been to the Caribbean, we've been to European countries, we've been to all of these different places.
Mm-hmm.
We've been to the continent. And we just had
Mm-hmm.
so the way I ended up there a few months later, that was in April. I think by the end of July, August of the same year, 2021, I landed on the continent for the first time.
Wow.
Because of this young lady that embarrassed me, who is now not only one of my best friends, she's my business partner.
What?
Crazy. So Welcome to the Motherland is a partnership with this same young lady who moderated. You talk about God putting you where you need to be. A lot of people could have just tucked their head and been like, you know what? I'm embarrassed. I'm ashamed. I'm on this panel with all these other people. I think I was the only woman on the panel. But a few months later, I ended up in Ghana for the first time. And I'm a one destination person, typically. I go, check it off my list and keep it moving. Honey, I was in Ghana in July, August. I was back in November. I was back the following February. I was like, what is going on? I remember just feeling this sea of emotion all over me. And people would tell me, like, you get to Africa and you want to kiss the ground. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, whatever. Baby, you want to fall out on the floor like, oh Lord, what took me so long?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how I ended up there.
Yeah, I can imagine that. I feel like that too. I feel like the first time my feet hit the ground, it's going to be such an experience. So I'm looking forward to that. That's a lot of times to go back to back, Coriya.
And I've been there 18 or 19 now. I lost count at this point. I've been there 18 or 19 times. Easy. Since 2021.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, keep in mind now, her and I are business partners, so we host group tours.
Okay.
But the group tours don't come close to the number of times that I've gone and not even told anybody I was there. And literally hold up in an Airbnb or at a friend's house and just be like, give me 2-3 days. Give me 2-3 days. And I sleep so well in Ghana that I remember being there one time and my friend was like, we had to put our finger under your nose, make sure you were still breathing. Because baby, after 9-10 hours, we was like, hold on. But that's the type of rest and the type of peace that I've heard people talk about over and over and over again. And you don't know it until you experience it for yourself.
So what exactly do you attribute that peace to? I know it may not be one thing, but
I think it's the people. I think it's the deep breath you can take. I think it's people go and they want to feel connected, right? You immediately want to have some type of connection. I will tell you that was not my story. And a lot of people don't like to hear this because I've been called a white woman in Africa. And I'm like, baby, what? I can't make this stuff up. Obroni, that's what they call it. I've been called an Obroni. But even in all of that, I don't know. When I go, I was there in December for Dinner en Blanc Accra, the very first Dinner en Blanc. And the first night, I just know that I'm going to sleep 8, 9, 10 hours. It's hard to explain. And you can be in the middle of the city. I've had people that I put in hotels in the middle of Accra, and they are like, baby, I had the best sleep of my life with everything going on outside, drums, people dancing, people up in the middle of the night, and people will say, I had the best sleep of my life. I've heard artists and I've watched interviews with people from different parts of the world, Nigeria, Europe. When they want to rest, Cheryl, and they want peace, they go to Ghana. Yeah.
Wow. When did you start inviting people? Even officially, you were doing it before you kind of called it tours, right?
Yeah, I think, I would go to Ghana. I think after that, probably fourth, I'm gonna say fourth trip.
Mm-hmm.
Because up to then it was about me. It was all about I'm going. This is all about me. And then over time, Denta and I were getting closer and closer and closer.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I would go live. I'd be somewhere on a rooftop or somewhere, and I would go live, and I would because I wanted people to see. I
Oh
was like,
yeah.
see this? Do you see a hut? Do you see some folks running around with grass skirts on? Is that no? You see
Mm-hmm.
this beautiful country that is so amazing and addictive. I hate to even use that word, but
Mm-hmm.
draws you in. And I remember being at this hotel built by a Black woman, a 39-year-old Black woman, by the way. And I
Wow.
remember being on the rooftop of this hotel one night, San Marino. And I went live, and my uncle got on that live, and he said, "Didn't I tell you not to go back to Ghana without me?" He's a retired military chaplain, right? And I'm like, "Okay, Uncle Charles, whatever," because come on now, Cheryl, you be somewhere and people be like, "Take me next time," right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So I said, "Denta, let's put together this trip and see if people are really, really, really real," right? I remember the people who were on the live that night. And out of the people that were on there, two of them ended up
Mm.
on the very first group trip. And I said, put something together, maybe 4 or 5 people, baby, because this is Ghana. It is not Cancun, right?
Mm-hmm.
So her and I worked together to come up with an itinerary. We put it together. And it was September 2023, my birthday. I was like,
Okay.
let's celebrate my birthday with me in Ghana, right?
Mm-hmm.
5, 10, 12. I got to like 12 or 13. I was like, oh my God, what is happening? We got to cut it off. Like, what am I going to do? Like, I don't think we were prepared. And when it was all said and done, 17 people followed me to Ghana. Woo, I get emotional just about people trusting me enough to go to another continent.
Mm-hmm.
Clancy being one of them.
Yep. I saw that he went. I was like, look at Clancy.
Baby, he over there representing K-Side to the fullest. Do you hear me throwing up the yo shimmy and you name it? He was over there whole life. But in such a diverse group, youngest person was like 27, the eldest was 76. Wow. 17 of us in Ghana. And I think Denton and I looked at each other like, girl, listen, I wish this would be our last time. And, I don't have a large social media following, but I'm blessed that people trust me.
Mm-hmm.
Very blessed that people trust me. So her husband, who has a production company, thank God, had the foresight to get it all on video. Wow. From the Zooms to the moment that they touched down. And they came, we had a great time. We put that video up, and Cheryl, that video now is at almost 500,000 views on YouTube.
What?
I know the last time I looked, it was maybe at 430,000. I'll have to look where it is now. And on like the second or third group tour that we put together, I asked this lady, she's a nurse from New York. I said, what would make you send me your money? You don't know me. She said, baby, I watched that video and that was all I needed.
Wow.
Everything about you came through that video. Everything I needed to know, every bit of trust and integrity. And Cheryl, that just, it meant the world to me. And now I don't know how many group tours we've done, but I'm just so blessed that people trust me to take them. And some people, I've taken several people who've never flown. I've taken several people, Cheryl, who've never had a passport before they went to Africa.
Wow.
So their first time out of the country, to the continent. I said, God, you be showing out.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. And your partner, tell me about her.
Oh my goodness. So on that very first trip, I told you I met her because she was moderating the panel that I was on, the Beyond the
Mhm.
Return panel. And then we got there, and of course, we made acquaintance. And she was telling me that she was going to be having this award show that she had been doing for years called the GUBA Awards. GUBA stands for Grow, Unite, Build Africa. That is her
Okay.
enterprise, right?
Mhm.
And I said, I got to be there. She probably thought I was crazy. She was like, I don't know this woman. Girl, I was calling her. She was traveling. I was like, you need me to come? Do you need me to serve? You need me to get your bags? You know, whatever it was, I knew we were supposed to be connected, right?
Mhm.
She was in Costa Rica. I was like, I can get there. What you doing? You need some help? You need me to set up some rooms? You need me what? Right?
Wow.
So I go back in
Mhm.
November, and we really didn't know each other. And then I go back the beginning of the following year. And then finally we end up putting this trip together. And then after that, we said, you know, we knew we had to do it, but she was just named Africa's, understand what I'm saying, not Ghana, but one of Africa's most influential women.
Wow.
She was at the Grammys this past weekend, and they gave her
Mhm.
an award because she is largely responsible for a lot of things that are happening with African music and the Grammys.
Wow.
I think it was last year. It was
Mhm.
last year. I went to the African nominee brunch in LA that she put together. And
Wow.
all of these people, you know, Harvey Mason and Boris Kojo, all these people there who respect her to the utmost. And I'm so
Mhm.
blessed to be connected with such a woman. Last year, my son went to Ghana for the first time. I guess he was like, let me see what's really going on, right?
Right.
And so I got there Christmas Eve. I left Christmas Eve. My son left Christmas Day, honey. We was playing with them tickets, trying to get the cheapest ticket. So I get there and Christmas, she's like, what you doing tomorrow? I said, well, I want to go to church. And she said, well, let's go. So I go to church with her. I go to her house afterwards. I spend Christmas with her and her family.
Mm.
And it was just, it was so instantaneous. You know what I mean? So genuine. And I'm thinking, this woman is like the woman. She thinks
Yeah.
I'm the woman. You know, she's been to the radio station, she's done interviews.
Mhm.
And we just, I don't know, it has just been a bond that is only God sent.
And
Only
like you said, when you know, you know.
when you know, you absolutely know.
Mm.
Yeah.
That is a beautiful. Now, what did Uncle Charles say when he finally met?
Baby, when I tell you Uncle Charles fell out on the ground, first of all, Uncle Charles was the life of the party. Okay. My uncle
Okay.
is retired military chaplain. He's been back twice.
Okay.
So
Wow.
since that first journey, he's been back 2 or 3 times. And then I've had people who've been with me multiple times back to Ghana. So that ought to tell you something. People don't just keep going back to a place like that.
Right.
But Uncle Charles has even talked about moving to Ghana. It's that
Mm.
kind of place. You know what I mean? Funny story. I gotta tell this. I think the only thing that had me in stitches about Uncle Charles was we went to this place. I won't name the place because I love them. I support them because I give back on every single journey, whether it's a solo or group trip.
Mhm.
And I remember him asking them, now here we are in Africa, and he, you know, no filter. Here we are in Africa amongst all these beautiful people, and y'all got white Jesus on the wall. Cheryl. I said, y'all look, Uncle Charles.
Ooh.
Uncle Charles is who he is, okay?
Yeah.
Hey, I can't make no excuses. He said, I just knew I was gonna get to Africa and see Black Jesus on the wall. But it's a whole different testament to how when you get to Ghana,
Mhm.
for lack of better words, and I'm gonna say this, and people are gonna understand what I'm saying. You expect everything to be blackety black. You know what I mean? You just do.
Right.
But the people are so amazing, so
Mhm.
hospitable. When you get off the plane and you hear Aquaba for the first time, you just like, oh gosh, you know, you just want to fall out. I tell people you just want to fall out on the floor.
And what does that mean?
Aquaba means welcome. And your response should be medase, which is thank you. Or
Wow.
say medase pa, which is thank you so much. But yeah, he just, it's just something that it comes over you, and
Mhm.
you do feel connected. You do. Absolutely.
Wow. Wow. Talk about some of the things. You don't have to give the whole trip
Okay.
away, but some of the things that people could expect.
Absolutely. So one thing that is a non-negotiable for me is the Across City tour. And the Cross City tour for me is a non-negotiable because I feel like it's the glue that brings everything together. We
Okay.
get to tour the home the former home of W.E.B. Du Bois, who had deep and strong roots in Ghana. I don't know if you know, when
Mm,
he took his U.S. passport, he was in Ghana and remained there, was
mm.
just such a force. So there's a museum and grounds all around his home, his robe and everything from when he went to Harvard. It's
Wow.
amazing to learn about his tie. And then of course we go to the Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Park. Kwame Nkrumah was largely in part responsible for Ghana gaining their independence in
Mhm.
1957. They were the first sub-Saharan African country to get their independence, not the first country. Can't say
Okay.
that. So want to be very, very clear about that. But that was in 1957. We will tour like the market, Makola Market, where they still go and they barter.
Mm.
Still today. You remember how you used to be able to go to your neighbors and get a cup of sugar and I got an egg, and
Mhm.
baby, you can get a couch or some eggs or a chicken at Makola. You can get whatever it is you want at the market. And then we take you to the art center, which is like shopping on steroids. I should say negotiating on steroids, because it's negotiating is a requirement and it's like a sport when you go to the art center. But I just think that brings everything together.
Mhm.
So that's a non-negotiable. Sometimes we do cooking classes so people can learn how to make jollof. I think it's the best
Mm.
jollof in all of West Africa. Nigerians and Liberians and Sinhalese people, they will
Mhm.
argue with me, but I think I like the Ghana jollof. Um,
Mhm.
Sometimes we will hike to the waterfalls, and that is dependent upon the seasons because the waterfalls dry up. I had somebody that was totally mad at me one time on a tour.
Mm.
I'll take you to the waterfall, but you're gonna be standing in something, that ain't no water flowing. So you have to absolutely think about that. We've flown to Kumasi. Kumasi is the home of kente cloth. It is the
Mm.
only place where not the only place, but that's where the original kente cloth was started. That is the home of kente cloth. So we go there, and then there's also an art center and museum, and in Tonso Village where we can go. Sometimes we go into the different villages. Like I said, I always do a give back. I don't care when. When I was there in
Mhm.
and I went for dinner en blanc, I'm gonna find a way to give back because I always feel like I get so much. So there's an orphanage that I love in Winneba. We have been to hospitals. We have been to homes with children who are disabled. We've been to schools with autistic children. They're still trying to learn about autism, and
Mhm.
believe it or not.
Okay.
Um, Gosh, what else have we done? Oh, the ladies typically on day one, honey, we going to the salon. We gonna do the hair braiding on day one. Yeah, my sister Joanna, who owns two salons there, Silver Hair Salon,
Mhm.
so much, and we're gonna eat, and we're gonna eat, and we're gonna eat. I will tell you, when I'm in Atlanta, long gone are the days of us going out to kick it. When I'm in Ghana, baby, I'm in these Ghana streets.
You in the streets.
These kind of streets. But the beautiful thing is, like one of my favorite places, people might call it a hole in the wall. I don't care. It's called Republic Bar. I love it. It's outdoors. It's a dirt floor.
Mm.
Super, super simple. Um, but I took them there, the first group, the first night we were there. And the DJ so bomb, Cheryl, you might hear Jeezy, and then you might hear El DeBarge. You don't know what you're gonna get. And then you're gonna have some Afro beats mixed in.
Uh-huh.
Never forget that we were all dancing. Cheryl, we were having such a good time, Uncle Charles included. And we were dancing, and it started to rain. Like I said, it's outdoors, a dirt
Mm.
floor. It started to rain and nobody left. Nobody
Wow.
moved. We just kept dancing in the rain. And you had Uncle Charles, and then you had the 25-year-old.
Ooh.
But you have places like that in Ghana where you can go and you see multi-generational, people, or different levels of generations together.
Mhm.
And I just thought that was so cool. But yeah, Corey, you get in these Ghana streets for sure.
Wow.
Love.
Now, when your son went for the first time, and he's of course traveled and been, international for a while, what were his, thoughts? What were
Oh,
some of
wow.
the things he shared with you?
Yeah, so I think a couple of the things that really shocked him, like I'll never forget, we went to the Ancestral River, or some people call it Slave River.
Mhm.
Woo! And that is on the road to Cape Coast. Cape Coast is the location for the door of no return, but we stopped at the Ancestral River, and that is where our ancestors had their last bath, the very last bath that they took before they walked another 30, 40 miles or however long it was to get to Cape Coast or Elmina or whatever dungeons that they were going to be going to. And for him, experiencing that, oh, stepping on the grounds,
Mm.
putting your feet in that water. I think I've had more people have an experience there than
Mhm.
anywhere else on any trip. Because it's hard to put into words. I always try to explain it to people.
Mhm.
Walking those grounds and walking the exact path that they had to walk, and then you see where they went down and they had their bath, and then when they come up, a lot of times, sometimes they're sold right there, sometimes they continue on and they go to the dungeons and they are branded there. Um, it's just hard to put in a word. It's hard to even explain. And I think, he definitely had an awakening there. And then we get back in the car and you keep riding, and then you go to Cape Coast,
Mhm.
or both, because it just depends on the tour group that we're with. And then you tour the dungeons where they were locked up. And you go through the door of no return, where they knew if they walked through that door, when they walked through that door, if they made it that far, because you got to remember, they're stolen, they're kidnapped, they're chained, they walk miles and miles and miles, weeks, days, months, sometimes.
Mhm.
And people are dying off the whole time, right? And then you get to the Ancestral River, and you're not done. And some people don't make it to that point. And then you walk and you walk and you walk and you walk and you walk, and you're losing people along the way. And then you get put in these dungeons, sometimes for months at a time, hundreds and hundreds of you in there eating together, using the bathroom in the same place the whole time.
Mhm.
And so a lot of people don't make it out of there. And then you finally walk through this door only to realize, man, I'm not coming back. This is it. Like, once I walk through this door and get on that ship, what are the chances of me ever coming back,
Mhm.
to my home? So, I think between those two things and him really seeing that, okay, she's not really just going to Ghana just to be going, you
Mhm.
know?
It's just
Yeah, he told somebody, he said, "Oh, my mother's in love with a country." My mother is in love with the country.
I love it.
Yeah, so, just an experience.
I know that. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. That was just listening to that is heart-wrenching, just and that's just me not even seeing and experiencing it. So I can just only imagine what that must be like. Um, how do people find out about your trips and if they're interested in what they need to do?
Okay. So the first thing is, our website is welcometothemotherland.com.
Mhm.
how was that available as a URL, right? That is a collaboration between my company and Guba Tours. So that's me and Denta's collaboration.
Mhm.
Welcome to the Motherland.com. Right now, our September journey, which has become an annual journey, this will be our
Mhm.
fourth, 23, 24, 25. Yeah, our fourth September journey, although we've done private tours. We're hosting a group of 10 women who are getting their PhDs in October. I'm super excited
Wow.
about that. But you can go to the website and find out about our September tour, which is our annual tour. That is typically the one that's going to sell out early. We're going to do that
Mhm.
every year. It is like pure gold. Your people who are listening tonight are the very, very, very first to hear about a brand new journey that we just put together for the summer. It is not up on the website. It is not
Mhm.
on my page. It is not on nowhere.
You got an exclusive.
You're getting an exclusive right now. When I say exclusive, there's not even a flyer ready for it.
Mm.
So we are looking to do a Juneteenth Heritage Tour, June 17th through the 25th.
Wow.
Y'all are hearing it first right now for the very first time ever spoken in public with Cheryl Merritt and Kingdom Atlanta.
Yes.
Yeah, so we felt like we wanted to try to do a summer journey for people
Mhm.
who have kids. Sometimes by the 1st of September, kids have already gone back to school. We started having people say, hey, I'd love to take my son, or I'd love to take, my family, and they're in school. They've already started school by September. So that's why we decided to do this. Now, we'll tell you what we are planning to do is to go very, very hard promoting this literally starting tomorrow for the next 14 days to see what kind of reaction we get. And then if it makes sense, and
Mhm.
definitely want to do, we're full force ahead. And we don't do very large groups, so
Mhm.
our attention. You have a US ambassador, me, you have a Ghanaian ambassador, so you have a US and a local guide
Okay.
on the ground. And the only thing that is not covered is your airfare. And then I walk people through Google Flights and how to set
Mm.
alerts for your airfare, and
Mhm.
then Google price matches too. So um, it's pretty easy. Our tours, I don't care how many you look at, we are extremely reasonable. Um, Obviously, this is not a get rich quick for me. I still work a 9 to 5 at Radio
Mhm.
One. My ultimate goal is to get as many people to the continent as possible, to get as many people to Ghana as possible. If you watch this and you haven't felt that yet, I must not be doing something right, but that is the goal. So we want to make it as economical as we possibly can. Um, there have been times that, we didn't meet the threshold. And I said, well, you know what? Don't even worry about me. I'll figure out mine, because I want to make sure that everybody can get there, and they get there at the price that we're quoted. So
Mhm.
and we do private group tours as well. We've taken families. Uh,
Mm.
like I said, we were hosting a group of ladies in October. We've done celebrities, we've done NFL players. Um, We've done 70th birthday journeys with people's families.
Mm.
We've done it all, the gamut of it all. So, yeah,
That's excellent. So y'all heard it here, the exclusive Juneteenth Heritage Tour.
that's it.
Welcome to the Motherland experience. You need to check it out, and when they announce it, jump on it.
Yeah.
And I will say this is really good information, even for me, because I will say that I felt it every time I've seen you there, seen your posts, hear it in your voice, see it in your smile, see your glow, all of it. And I've just been, let me just put it out there, just jealous. Gotta put it out there.
Don't be jealous, because you're coming. It's
Tell
coming.
the truth and shame the devil. But I will say that it's not because I listen. How will I say this? Charge it to my pocketbook and not my heart,
Understood.
and
Understood.
not having been there yet. But I definitely want to make that happen, and so I am going to start looking at that and figuring out how I can get myself on one of the Welcome to the Motherland tours because it sounds so exciting. The other reason, and we'll kind of shift a little over to another part of this, is the reason I titled this "Is Africa Calling You?" is because I know there have been, and I'm sure you have heard or spoken to people, and you mentioned some as well, including Uncle Charles. We keep using his name. They have talked about moving or purchasing a
Mhm.
property there. And so, here we are in
Yes.
2026. And there are some people that are saying, hey, you know what? Time to get up out of here. Where else can
Understood.
we go? And people are researching, people are, trying to figure it out. You know, what would you say to the person that is going, maybe on their first tour with that in mind?
You hit the nail on the head. Research. Just like anywhere else, Ghana is not the place that you pick up and you go and move. There's so
Mhm.
many different things that you need to consider. Um, you know, Ghana is not dirt cheap. I mean, I'm just gonna go on and put it out there. If you thinking,
Mhm.
that you're gonna buy a house for $100, it doesn't work like that.
Mhm.
Ghana is also, let me be very clear, not handing out citizenships. It does
Mhm.
not work like that. Ghana is not handing out land just because you say you black. It does
Mhm.
not work like that. Um,
Mhm.
and if you are planning to work, whether it is remote, or whatever the case may be, you need to do your research. If you're planning to open a business, let me tell
Mhm.
you that business in Ghana is not the same as business in the United States. People in Ghana operate in a different mindset. I always tell people who are traveling with me that you have to have patience going to Ghana
Mhm.
because their lifestyle is like this. And you see how slow I'm moving? You
Mhm.
will not go to a restaurant in Ghana and say, "Sir, ma'am, I got somewhere to be. I need to be out of here in 10 minutes. Can I get my meal?" They will ask you to go somewhere else and not feel bad about it.
Mhm.
It's not their lifestyle to rush, 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 rush. It's not what they do.
Mm.
And people be like, "Oh, it's taking so long," and this, that, and the other. Y'all, that is the way of life. How many times you say, "I sure wish I could sit down. I sure wish I could be still. I sure
Mhm.
wish that life wasn't moving." That is the lifestyle there. And
Mm.
it's a different culture as it relates to business and the way people do business. So do your research. You said it.
Mhm.
You need to do your research. You don't need to pack up your bags and just move to Ghana. You need to come
Mhm.
several times. Like Uncle Charles is saying, his next trip, he'll probably go and stay 3 months,
Mm.
and rent an Airbnb for 3 months and see
Mhm.
how that works out. But I will tell you that with my relationship with Guba, and they have an organization called GDN that I joined several years ago. GDN stands for Guba Diaspora Network.
Mm.
And they do everything from A to Z when it comes to helping people transition or helping people who just want to simply do business or start businesses in Ghana. I've done everything from obtain my Ghana card, my visa, uh,
Mhm.
real estate. I just invested in virtual farming where I don't have
Mm.
to be on the farm. I don't have to haul any dirt, but I'm investing in corn and something else. We just did a big seminar on that. We're going to do another one February 15th. So that's the second thing is research and then find a reputable organization like GDN. Get in the WhatsApp group. I'm every day I'm in the WhatsApp group finding out new things. There's a journalist from New Jersey. She's been going back and forth, and her 11-year-old daughter just moved to Ghana. But that
Mhm.
wasn't without research and figuring out parts of town. Y'all, Ghana is a whole country. I need you to understand. And if you find a nice house and they tell you this house is in shadow, you can say, baby, there's shadow and then there's shadow, meaning there's Buckhead and then there's Bankhead. That's it. And you don't know that unless you do your research or unless you're connected with groups like Gooba Diaspora Network to know that that's probably not where you want to be.
Mhm.
Yes, you can get places for $8,000, $10,000 for a whole year. And that's something you also need to know too. Most of the places you're going to rent are not going to be month to month. They pay their rent and they pay their things a year or 2 years in advance.
Wow.
But Africa broke. You know, most of them, they don't have mortgages. They don't have car notes.
Mm.
Whatever they have, they're paying cash for upfront most of the time. So those are things you definitely need to know prior to going. Do your research and get connected with a reputable diaspora group that can guide you.
Excellent information. Most of that I did not know. Very eye-opening. But like you said, research and being connected with people that do know that can help you find some answers, I
Yeah.
believe is critical.
Yeah. Follow
Um,
me. I mean, I'm not gonna
mhm,
tell you I know everything,
mhm,
but I have my personal page, which is just Coriya, but then I have a Go Travel Chick page where I'm always sharing things. Always.
mhm.
So follow me. I'm an open book. Whether you go with me or not, um,
Yeah,
I'm an open book.
I think I tagged your Go Travel Chick on my
Perfect.
IG.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
because I know that one is related to this. I wanna, got about, maybe another 10 minutes. I wanted to bring up something that you mentioned because I thought it was very, important for Kingdom Atlanta. You mentioned the market. You said it had a certain name.
Makola?
Yes.
Yes.
And you mentioned that they barter, right?
Absolutely.
And they barter so many different things, right?
Yes.
And part of what Kingdom Atlanta has been charged to do is to figure out how we can incorporate some of the bartering system, whether it's goods or whether it's services,
Mhm.
because we want to show how people that are connected to Kingdom Atlanta that are providers, whatever that means, whether you are a service provider, you want to, provide something for free to others, whether you have goods and services, or whether you are financial provider. We want to make sure that people understand that it is still a two-way thing. Like we're getting
Absolutely.
something out of giving, but we want people to know that we are the solution that we've been looking for.
I love
We
it.
know we cannot continue to depend on programs and the government and, things that have been stripped and are most likely not coming back. Um,
Absolutely.
we're in a different time, which means that we need to start thinking differently. And we do need to look at ways that are working in other places. That oftentimes, Coriya, I believe a small part of the challenge with what I'm trying to do is because it's just not done here. Like, who barter, like, what do you mean? Like,
Right.
or it's just a concept that is not popular in our culture. But we see where it's worked before with
Absolutely.
our people, and it's working in other countries, like you mentioned in Ghana with what they do. And it's not to say that everything is on the, that barter system.
Mhm.
But when we look at where we are, we need to know, or we need to have a database or a network, an app or something that says, oh, I need this. Let me see who has it that I can contact. And not to have to dilly-dally, not to have to go to United Way to get it, or some other organization. It may be Monday night and you missed the cutoff at church to get, whatever resources or food. It could be, whatever it is. But
Yeah.
how do you think that do you believe that their culture kind of helps make that work? Is I guess
Absolutely.
what I'm trying to ask about.
Absolutely. Like I said, I mean, there was a time, Cheryl, I think, when we were kids And I don't even know if we necessarily called it bartering, but we knew that if our neighbor
Mhm.
had something that we needed, right? We
Mhm.
knew that we could do that, and then they knew that if they needed something, they could get it. We got away from it, and I think what happened is, people started to just operate in their own little world, in their own space. Some people
Mhm.
say, "Oh, well, people are out for self." No, I think people started to close themselves in, and we took on the "I got it" attitude. I can take care of myself. I can do this. And what we don't realize is that we're stronger together. We're so much stronger together. You're talking about a database. What started going through my head is everybody has a profile with their gifts.
Mhm.
These are my gifts, right?
Mhm.
And so my company may be looking for somebody to do graphic design. So I go and
Mhm.
I look at all of these graphic designers and I ping them. And then they can take a look at my profile to see what my gifts are and how I can then give back to them. Incredible idea. Incredible. Because we all sitting on something. I'm going to tell you, somebody said to me the other day, she said, "I got somebody that I want you to talk to about radio." And I'm like, what am I gonna do? You know what I mean? I'm like,
Mhm.
how am I gonna do this? She said, "Well, I'm gonna tell you that they were paying a consultant hundreds of dollars an hour just to give them advice. And I know you can give them the same advice, probably better." And she said, "And I know that they will be willing to pay you." Well, immediately I thought, what I got to offer? Like, how can I help them? Not
Mhm.
realizing that I'm sitting on 30 years of a gift
Mhm.
that I don't even value. So many times our
Mhm.
gift and what we think is just nothing is priceless to somebody else.
Mhm.
That's why I said I think it's so important that whenever you bring this database together, that people, not just what you do or who you are or what your title is, but what is your gift?
That's excellent. That's excellent. I'm gonna go back and listen to that part again and take some notes because every guest I've had recently, they've helped me add another link to the understanding of how I explain exactly what Kingdom Atlanta is, what we're looking to do, and all of that. So I definitely appreciate that
Mhm.
um, coming from you. The other aspect is that, I know you're also in ministry. And so part of what I've even tried to do is with my prophetic gift is to say, when I do the prophetic pop-ups or, you know, a lot of times it's challenging to say, hey, please. So,
Yeah,
um, however, what I've been doing is saying that, your seed helps further the mission and vision of Kingdom Atlanta.
there you
Because
go.
what I want to do is take what you're sowing into me to help build this other arm of what I'm doing.
Absolutely.
And, we've been able to, get toys for Christmas, just, found out about a drive in a neighborhood. Um, I bought blankets, ordered some blankets from Amazon. I just keep them in my car. Because, working downtown, you always see somebody.
Always.
And
Yeah.
I've given the blankets just out the window, on Martin Luther King Day. My sister, her family, and us, we make bags for the homeless with like snacks, gloves, just all kind of things that they could use. And every day when I get out of my car and park, I grab a blanket and I grab a bag so
Right.
that I don't have to say, oh, I don't have anything because I got it. And I don't have to
Mhm.
be like, oh, I left it in my car. I don't feel like going back.
Yeah.
It's you have it and you're an answer to somebody that they're waiting on you to walk by.
Wow.
And
You're an answer. Wow. That's
and
huge.
yeah. And what diminishes our value and us being able to show up in the world like we need to is when we don't recognize that we're an answer.
Absolutely.
And we don't recognize the gifts that God put in us to use in different various ways. And so I just wanted to throw that out, that I thought that that aspect of what you shared,
Mm-hmm.
and we didn't talk about that at all being a part. We didn't really talk much about what we were going to cover because I knew you were going to knock
Right.
it out the park. But that is just the nugget that I'm going to really sit with and build on and use to kind of tweak some of my language. But we got about a few more minutes left. I put in welcome to the Motherland.com into the chat.
Mm-hmm.
And they can follow you at Go Travel Chick, and it's CHICK, right?
Yep, that's it.
Okay, in the chat. This will also be live. Well, it's live on my YouTube channel. I will. I usually post it again the next day or so, so people who missed it can go back and watch.
And I see
And
Rashida watching. Hey, Rashida.
hi,
She went.
Rashida, how
She
are
was on
you?
the original trip to Ghana.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks for tuning in. That is so amazing. And then I guess in the last few minutes, Coriya, if you want to just talk about anything else, the FaithBoard Experience, which I've been, blessed to take part in a few years, and a part of your community on Facebook. And that's the other thing, just the importance of building a community around what you're doing is so important.
Absolutely. So I think we talked about earlier, my 9 to 5 general sales manager at Radio One. But my 5 to 9, as I call it, is where my passion and my purpose take off. And my passion is taking people to the continent, and my purpose is helping women realize, that their goals are worth achieving, that their goals are worth just as much as them helping other people, because so many times women, we have this servant's heart, and there's nothing wrong. And I'm so sorry, that dog barking like that. There is nothing wrong with having a servant's heart. It's nothing wrong with being people's emergency contact. But what happens with women so many times is we sit back one day, Cheryl, and we realize, what did I do for me? Like, what happened to my goals, my dreams, my aspirations, right? So FaithBoard is about, creating a plan. And, one of my, I guess my overarching themes is pray, plan, execute.
Yes.
Pray, plan, prayer being first. Because a lot of times we come up with this plan, and then we jump out there and we go, and then we want to pray as we go. No. We're going to pray in the beginning, and then we're going to plan it out, and then we're going to execute it like the incredible women that we are. So FaithBoard is a faith-based twist on a vision board. I do this event typically every year in January, but it looks like now I'm going to be doing them throughout the year. I've got a couple calls to do some different faith boards for different organizations throughout the year. We have our first check-in this Saturday, which is the 7th, at Riverside Center at 10 a.m. So it's also a year-long commitment. We do the event, we do a 30-day check-in, we do a mid-year meetup, we do a finish strong. It's all throughout the year. And this sorority that I'm going to be doing, I'm not even doing theirs until March. And then I'm going to be traveling to do one later in the year. So it's not something that you just have to do in January. It's a year-long commitment.
Excellent. And you do a fabulous job. Just
thank you.
So excited to see how that has grown. And Cherokee put her magic. Cherokee. Thump. She's one of my thump sisters.
Woo, y'all would not believe. Woo. Boy,
we had some times.
Let me tell you, T.I. was at the station today, and people were like, what's your favorite, T.I. birthday bash moment? I said, y'all, you just would not believe. I said, well, 04, when he was fresh out of Fulton County, fresh out of 404, came to birthday bash with the orange jumpsuit on. They were looking at me like, when was that?
Right.
I said, yeah, you wouldn't understand.
Yeah, I wouldn't know. You wouldn't understand, right?
You wouldn't understand.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, good times.
Well, Coriya, I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. I'm glad I caught you on the continent, I guess. Are you on the continent? Or are you in Africa?
I am in the United States of
Okay.
America today.
I wasn't sure. I said she might be out the country. She might be
Yeah, I
around.
am in the United States today.
But okay, but yeah, thank you so much for your time. Gonna
Mhm.
let you go back and enjoy the green room.
Yes.
If you need to leave on out, that's fine. I can connect with you later. I'm gonna do a couple of closing announcements, but thank you so
Okay.
much. I will get some clips done and post them and
Yeah.
tag you and all
Okay.
that good stuff.
And if
Um,
anybody wants to sponsor, be a sponsor of Welcome to the Motherland and any of our tours or Birthday Bash 30,
Ooh,
I'm here. I'm here to assist.
love it. Love it. All right.
All
Doing
right.
all your jobs, doing all of
Absolutely.
it.
That's it. That is it.
Your
But
9
thank
to
you for
5
having
and your 5 to 9.
and
I
my
love
5 to 9. There
it.
you go.
Mhm.
Thank you
Okay.
for having me, Cheryl. I definitely appreciate it.
You are so welcome. Love you.
Love you too.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Yes.
So before we leave, I always have to encourage my guests to check out my kingdomatlanta.com website. I'd also like for you to subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's Cheryl, Sheryl, Merritt, Merritt. Tell your friends. I need some subscribers. You'll find out a lot about Kingdom Atlanta and what the purpose is, what we're doing. You can find out about ways that you can get involved. And it's done. It is for such a time as this. We're galvanizing resources, people to use their time, talent, and treasure to actually be solutions to some of the biggest challenges that we're facing in our city, our immediate nation, our world, even. But starting out right where we are here in Atlanta. So, for more information, you can find that out. You can look at some past shows and other things as well. And make sure to follow Kingdom Atlanta on Instagram and Facebook. If you would like to sow, my Cash App is Creator in Me, LLC. I also have a PayPal for Kingdom Atlanta, and I will put that into the comments later after the show. But I want to thank everyone for tuning in. Our next show will actually not be next week. We're doing every other week, if you haven't noticed. So in 2 weeks, I'll have a special guest. Her name is Sybil Slade. And looking forward to that conversation. Look out for the promo flyers and things of that nature. Look out for clips. If you heard something about tonight's show, make sure you share it. Let someone know what's going on. If you feel like they have an interest in what Coriya is doing with her Welcome to the Motherland, FaithBoard venture, or anything at Radio One, please be sure to connect with her. So with that, I'm going to say have a terrific night. Peace and blessings to you all. And I love you. Saying prayers for you, for your protection, for your peace, for your safety, and also for your provision. All right. 2 fingers. Peace.